Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a rock solid show for you. We're going to be talking about the latest and greatest on tonight's episode. And of course, that starts with, well, folks, breaking news, Death Stranding, a PlayStation exclusive, coming to Xbox Game Pass PC. And we're going to discuss whether or not Xbox proper, meaning the console version, is going to be imminent and what that means for Sony. How did Sony get to this point where just 2 years ago, Jim Ryan himself said, we believe in generations, meaning that only games, especially now, would be released on PlayStation 5, and they were going to leave the old generation behind. Turns out there has been lots of leaps and bounds and a lot of parts moving, and we're going to find out why these parts are moving because, well, we have new information that says that that Sony is in a bit of debt. And there's a reason why all of these moving parts, like games going to PC, games coming to Game Pass, games like MLB The Show being forced by Sony's first party to make for not only Xbox, but the Nintendo Switch. And what happens next? Is Spider-Man 2018 bound for Xbox in some way, shape, or form? Well, I don't know, but we have some more information on how well that is doing on Steam, which it was just released. And maybe when Marvel sees these numbers, they're going to ask why did only 20 million of your 142 million consoles between PlayStation 4 and 5 did only 20 million buy it? 25 million. Well, we're going to ask that question. And on the second half of the show, folks, we're going to be talking about Phil Spencer's master plan revealed and what that means for Xbox. But listen, let's get into the introductions, and we're going to fly through them because King David, you only have some time to be with us. Welcome back, brother. How you feeling?
I'm feeling.
Should I just call you Swami?
Yes. The Swami is
King
here.
Croc Swami.
And I am hypnotizing you all.
Hypnotizing the people with the Xbox bling. I love it.
Go buy a Series X and S.
Well, I would imagine that you guys didn't have a chance to talk about it on this on the episode that just passed of the Iron Lords podcast, which was Sunday, and that this is probably going to be your topic for this upcoming Sunday. There's no doubt about it. But it's great to have you here, brother. We're going to get to you in a second. I got to welcome in someone that I have not only listened to his show, but have been a fan of his for a while. He's making his first appearance, his debut appearance here on Primetime Gaming. Dirt Griggity, my brother, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. Thank you for the invite, brother. I can't believe I made it on Primetime Gaming, man. Thank you for the invite, and I'm just excited to be here, man.
Well, it's great to have you here, and like I said, I know that you have. I listened to this week's past show, and you guys. I didn't know you had a segment called POS of the Week. I nearly fell out of my freaking chair because wow. But yeah, it's good. It's great to have you here, and great to have you a part of today's show. And again, it just so happens to be we're talking Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer. Aurelius Spencer. Yeah, and we're also talking about the ongoings of PlayStation and all the big changes that come to SIE. This is a very different PlayStation than we've seen 2 years, and the changes continue to come. And like I said, the Swami, known as Lord King Crocs, has been talking about this for years, and now it's coming to fruition. But Kay Asante, you're sitting there, you're smiling, you're hearing the banter. It's great to have you back. How you feeling?
Oh man, this is great, bro. I to come back on a Wednesday with such a great esteemed panel members, man. This is absolutely awesome. Welcome, King, as usual. You know, Dirt. You, it's such a pleasure having you on the show. A big fan of your work, as I'm sure many of our community members are here. It's been a long time coming having you on PTG, and of course, I see Mr. Everborn Saga just pulled up, so I'm excited. Today's going to be really entertaining. So let's get started.
Yes, absolutely. Crispy Bomb, what's going on, brother? How you feeling? Welcome back.
Oh, man, this is going to be a great show. We have the legend King David with his swaminess talking about PlayStation having rocks in their Crocs, my friends. Then we have Dirt, who I mean, if you haven't seen some of his content, it is not only entertaining, but he doesn't go out there and trash the other console, people. It's called giving it a little respect and calling it out, and that's what we're gonna do tonight. Let's get it.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And of course, last and no way least, the slanderous one himself, Everborn Saga. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I just want to repeat again, we have Black Excellence in the building.
Yes, we certainly do.
King
The best of the
David,
business, brother.
Dirt Griggity. Thank you for joining us, man.
What's up, brother?
This is dope. This is dope. And again, I'm excited for the topics tonight. I just want to start off the show by saying, an out of context, charge them more. But that's it.
And listen, real quick.
You know,
Normally we open up the show with the sponsor of our show, and we're going to be doing that midway through. And our sponsor today is Manscaped. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. For the second month in a row, Manscaped.com has sponsored Primetime Gaming, and we'll be doing our new ad for that midway through the show, because Mag is not going to be here. My partner in crime today for this commercial is going to be Kay Asante, and it is a spicy one written by the Mag himself. But listen, folks, let's jump right into it. Let's rip the Band-Aid right off. Okay, so it was reported yesterday that the Xbox Game Pass PC was getting its first. So well, not really at first. Their second Sony exclusive in the realm of Death Stranding. Now, Death Stranding came out, and we all know that Sony was not happy with the sales. Critically, it was reviewed very well. Commercially, it didn't sell as well as Sony would have wanted, which is why they have yet to greenlight a sequel. And we know that Kojima is currently in development of an Xbox exclusive that's potentially horror-based. And it's going to be something that they're going to be using the power of the cloud for. And we are expecting that he could reveal that as soon as Gamescom, which is going to be next week. Obviously, he posted something on his official Twitter account that he has finished editing, and whatever that is that he's editing, it could be a trailer for his new game. But the reason why we are here, ladies and gentlemen, is because, well, like I said before, I love bringing, evidence in the form of, documents or documentation that I find on the interwebs. And what happened yesterday set the internet on fire. It was first reported by Clobriel, checkmarked Clobriel, and that Death Stranding was in fact coming and coming to Xbox Game Pass PC. And this is what Clobriel had to say on his official Twitter account. Looks like Death Stranding is coming to Xbox ... Game Pass PC soon. And he was responding to, of course, PC Game Pass, their official Twitter account. And they did something that many in the community thinks that it's a bit slanderous or, in good fun of poking good old Sony. They said this: sometimes we just like a good landscape picture. # new profile picture. And that new picture, well, folks, it just happens to be the landscape of Death Stranding. We also had a good friend of the show, Tom Warren, who actually stopped by Breakfast with Boom last week, and he put out a picture where it's a giant logo, Xbox logo, and it says PC Game Pass, and of course it is Daryl or the actor carrying a bunch of boxes. And no, you know what? Why are we here? Why are we at a point?
Norman Reedus, but I think you're right to call him Daryl.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what it is. But
we know what you mean.
But here's the thing: how did we get here? Right? Remember, just a couple of years ago, like I said in the opening, Jim Ryan said we believe in generations. Right? They also said they don't play old games. These are two big quotes. Both this directly from Jim Ryan, head of SIE. Right? Well, since then, we have seen multiple games launch on PC. As a matter of fact, today, ladies and gentlemen, Sony themselves on their official blog put out the FAQ regarding PlayStation games for PC, and it says this: explore a range of acclaimed titles from PlayStation Studios now available to enjoy on PC via Steam or Epic's Game Store. And they have currently 6 games available for PC: God of War, Spider-Man 2018, Days Gone, Horizon Zero Dawn, Helldivers, and Predator Hunting Grounds. And what's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and where we come into a conversation, is a story that I pulled from GameRant.com. And they are reporting that Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered is Sony's second biggest launch on Steam. And it says this, ladies and gentlemen: Marvel's Spider-Man's Remaster officially came out on PC on August 12, 2022. It included a remastered version of Marvel's Spider-Man along with the City That Never Sleeps DLC, which was released in a 3-parts post-launch. Curiously, this remastered version is only available as part of Marvel Spider-Man's Miles Morales Ultimate Edition on PlayStation 5. They go on to say that new data reveals that Marvel Spider-Man Remastered is Sony's second biggest launch on Steam when comparing it to peak concurrent players. Now, this is the cherry on top of why we are here. I have a document in front of me that King himself has posted, and we have found out, thanks to a recent financial report, that as of 6/30/2022, Sony is in long-term debt of $180.20 billion. That's right, $180.20 billion with a B. Their shareholders' equity is at $53.69 billion, and debt to equity ratio is 3.36. Now, King, I want to go to you first on this.
Quick question on that, and
yes,
this is a question for King to answer. Is that dollars or yen? Because if it's yen, then that's basically like 18 billion. If it's dollars, then wow.
Well, you know what? This report is in English. I can't say whether or not it's yen or not. I honestly, I don't know, to be honest with you.
Okay, just wanted to put that context.
Yeah, no.
That's say it's yeah. I don't know.
I will assume that it's yen.
All right. Well, regardless,
I would assume.
Well, I mean, again, we will. I will look for clarity while King, talks about it. But King, listen. There have been a lot of Sony fans that, quite frankly, are upset with Sony making the moves that they've been doing. We've seen emergency streams. We've seen spaces. We've seen articles. We have seen tantrums. We had a guy threaten to blow up SIE proper, which hopefully the FBI locked that guy up because, well, that's not really.
Well, investigate him because he's a kid.
Yeah, he's a kid, but he's also a knucklehead. It's the word.
I mean,
bomb
he's putting it in the universe,
mouth.
And he's giving you're inciting a riot. So okay.
Pretty much. But King, look, you have been banging this PlayStation drum as potentially them becoming the new Sega for years. Now, I don't know how close they are to actually that happening. Quite frankly, Sony is doing well in regards to releasing their first-party bombs, which we know most of us enjoy. But the truth of the matter is that we saw that MLB The Show was basically had Sony's arm or hand forced to make that happen because MLB was like, listen, if you don't do it this way, we're going to take the license back, right? And we saw MLB sell practically just as many, slightly a little bit more than it sold on its own home platform of PlayStation when it came out for Xbox. Now we see that Death Stranding is on its way to Xbox Game Pass for PC. Now, I'm in the mind that it doesn't seem logical not to release that on the Xbox, Game Pass because, well, they do use x86 architecture, and to have it, transferred over would not be that big of a deal. Just for clarification, folks, 505 Games published the PC version of Death Stranding when it was originally released on PC. King, what are we seeing in front of us?
You're seeing a prophecy come true. I prophesied this already a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone was in earshot of me, you would have listened when I told you before. Phil wasn't going to Japan for no reason. He was going big fish hunting. So when you know that he got the big fish, Kojima, I told y'all before, Kojima made a fatal flaw when he put Death Stranding on the PlayStation platform. The infrastructure wasn't thought about with cloud, even though they had what was that ASCII or whatever group that they did purchase to work on that stuff. Yeah, Gaikai.
Yeah.
And they just wasn't built for what Microsoft had envisioned the cloud to be. They talked about the cloud earlier on. They tried to give you some tangible thoughts on how the cloud can work. Kojima is always 2 steps ahead of whatever the industry is doing because he's always thinking outside of the box, and he's looking more at the technology opposed to what is actually current, right? He's looking ahead in how he can leverage his games and have his games turn into an art form that they can live on, right? So the thought of Death Stranding was ingenious in the fact that it was community based, and what you did in your world, others can do in their world and will transcend to your world, and it will give you this level, a sense of community and bonding and trying to bring people together.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Asante and I were talking about that. It's pretty amazing, King. Like I said, just for clarification, folks, I have 40 hours in Death Stranding, and I have 30 of the 63 trophies unlocked. I spent a lot of time in that game, and every time I came back to it, King, someone built a bridge. Someone added something that I didn't have.
Could you imagine, Boom, if you actually had a real community that can actually get behind it?
Yeah.
Game Pass is the vehicle.
Yeah.
As you can see daily. And I just want to tell all you PlayStation dudes that run to make spaces and want to do emergency streams and cry and bomb threat, they don't care what you say, what you do at all. The only thing that moves the needle over in that building is their shareholders and their partners.
Yep. When
Epic told them that crossplay must be implemented, they had to bend the knee. They had to acquiesce. They had to say, how'd you like that, sir? When MLB told them, listen, you're not selling how you're supposed to. This is supposed to be as pure as American pie. It's supposed to be the number one sport, and you have it locked down to one console. Either you get it right or it's gone. Okay, sir. How can I serve that up to you?
May I have another?
Okay, sir. So you guys thinking you matter, you don't. You know,
Jim Ryan actually said that their own players are not enough.
They're not enough.
Yeah.
You're not enough. So we're on to the PC side. And the fact that I told you before, listen, debt causes strange things. You ever been in debt? You ever know what debt look like? When debt collectors calling your phone, either you're dropping it or you're running, you're picking up, or he's not here right now. You're acting like somebody else. Well, they can't do that for how long? They're gonna do that before they say, listen, man, we are serving a public that's not serving us.
Yep.
You guys are waiting for Black Friday deals to come out, but y'all want these bangers. Y'all about these bangers, you're about these platinums. It's not transcending the cash, bro. So I told you before, Sony is always going to look for how to turn that old dollar into new money.
Mm-hmm.
So you think Spider-Man, how long you think Spider-Man going to sit over here before it already rang out all the change it can get out of this person, ring all the change it can get out of that person, and they're going to ring the change out of Microsoft next?
Yeah. I listen, I said this before and I was called a lunatic. There's no way that they allow Spider-Man on an Xbox. Folks, listen, I'm not port begging. I platinum Spider-Man 2018. It's cool. I played it.
It's my game of the year.
Would I play it again on Xbox? 100%. Would I?
I'll play it for spite.
Yeah. I would play it because I actually enjoy it. But I see what.
I'll play it and I will stream it with the controller in hand for spite. Because you know why? Listen, I'm an Xbox
I
dude.
love the dirtiness of it all.
And I want you guys. I want the place. I love your tears. See, Sony doesn't care about your tears. I care about all your tears. Your tears actually. I take baths in your tears. I love your
But
tears.
see, King, you know what you got to watch out for? The tears are delicious, but you got to watch out for the salt because the cholesterol. And
No.
blood
What I
pressure,
use the salt is to soak my feet.
That's how you.
I use the salt to soak my feet.
You said these dudes are dropping off Epsom salt.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah, man.
You know what it is? Them achy joints. When you go to the gym and you work out, you got them achy joints. You need some Sony tears.
This is it. Listen,
let me tell you.
You
And they're
don't need
plentiful.
slander from everyone today because the king is in the building.
Oh, let me tell you, I waited for Death Stranding, and don't tell me it's going to PC. It's not going to Microsoft. She's sleeping with him, but she's just not sleeping with him. But that's okay though. Don't worry, they'll be sharing her soon. before you pick your head up, you look around and you're like, man, I can't believe it.
Hey King, where's Kojima's next game coming from?
Coming to Microsoft.
Okay.
Yo, you ever born? You know what the funniest thing is? When they showed Kojima up there, dudes is like, well, that's gonna be years from now. They thought they had time to cry. They thought that was just a couple of weeks.
What's that called? Tomorrow is now.
Yes. Listen, surprise. We have a future machine. Surprise. We are no longer in the past, and now you're gonna cry. I cannot wait.
You know what I thought today?
Yes, sir.
What I thought today?
What you thought, sir?
When this news came out, the first thought that came to my mind is that nothing is sacred. There are no sacred cows
over there.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Over there.
No sacred cows.
Tell me if you find Halo over there on that PlayStation.
No, you're not even gonna get Starfield for that matter.
You're gonna have Game Pass on your box.
Only way it's happening.
Listen, Jim is selling everything. I knew nothing was sacred over there when he killed Sony in Japan.
Ooh, listen.
All right, when he killed,
might have to start calling him Jim Zaslav.
No, listen, I'm calling him Dance Moves because he is the most untouchable dancer the world has ever seen. He's Neo in the Matrix. These bullets is coming past him, and he's telling you, I believe in generations. Hold on. I believe in new technology. And he's worrying about the PlayStation 4. I believe in keeping our games here. And he's talking about the PC and getting the mobile stuff ready. Look, everything that's going on over there is indicative of what I've been telling you. There's not going to be a PlayStation 6. PlayStation is going to be third party. They're going to turn into an app. They're going to make sure that those games, because it doesn't make any sense to keep it locked in one space if you guys aren't making that money happen. If you're not running out and you're not turning those AAA bangers into why can't we get at least day one, at least 5-6 million of you guys going out there buying a game? Why can't that happen?
You know what's interesting, King, to that point? They had an opportunity to test the waters, to say top tier premium members, which I am, you are, many people are that are in the chat. We got almost 400 people here, so thank you so much for that. They could have easily dropped the Last of Us remake in there to test the waters to see how many people would have jumped to that top tier to get this game. Instead of paying $70, people would be happy to pay the $18 a month for it. Play the game. Now, whether they beat it in a month and they stop it, or I don't know. A lot of people do that with Xbox Game Pass. I jumped in, I jumped out, I jumped back in. That's fine.
Have good content.
But that's it. Well, look, if you are someone that's finding Sony for the first time, their lineup is ridiculously good. There's no doubt about it. It's magnificent. But I have every one of those games that are in there except for like 2. I own the actual game. So for me, it's not that big of a deal. But I jumped in because I paid the $33 to extend until February of next year because I was going to buy Stray. Now I didn't have to buy it. But please continue.
I'm just saying this. It's basically obvious what's transpiring in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do you got to come home to see your husband with lipstick on his collar? All right, before you smell women's perfume, before you start finding an earring here, negligee here. Oh, those aren't my condoms. You know, how many excuses do you gotta hear before you say, wait a second, this dude is cheating? How many? How? See, because everybody got mad at me because I always use female scenarios. Well, I gave you the male scenario. How many times do he got to come with glitter on his face? Only real dudes knew that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. I'm just saying this. Wake up, and accept the reality of what's happening here. Now you can beat them to the punch. Instead of calling the spaces and ranting and crying, call the spaces so y'all can pool your money together and go buy the games at the same time. Post your receipts. Instead of calling emergency streams talking about they shouldn't be doing this to us. Well, get an emergency stream together so y'all can get together to go out and buy games and stop playing around. Why don't you do a stream of you playing a game? Maybe they can care about you more. But see, this is what happens when you walk with your nose in the air. You fall in a manhole.
You ever had that stink face? I just got it right now. It's there. I'm just not going to show it. It's too ugly.
It's high time y'all get off that high horse.
Yeah.
And somebody said today that they the market leader.
Well, that's temporarily.
4 months in a row, you've been being slayed, son.
Yeah.
4 months in a row, you've been slayed with no games. Wait to have what's gonna happen when Death Stranding get over here? What's gonna happen when
King?
we the home of your bangers?
Can I ask a question, King? Here's a question.
Jim is gonna get the yacht.
Well, yeah, that's when Jamaican Jim makes a stop by this.
You thought we forgot about Jamaican Jim?
Yeah, I didn't forget about Jamaican Jim. I'm waiting.
I'm waiting for the to get ordered. You see,
I'll put it this way:
with Delroy.
The reason why I haven't been invited onto Jamaican Jim's yacht is he's afraid I'm going to steal it, like I did King's car. But here's the thing: I have a question for King, and then I will then pass the mic over to Dirt because this is a good question. What happens when there are more people concurrent playing Death Stranding on Xbox than there ever was on Sony's PlayStation? Is that going to be a determining factor as to how they move forward, bringing other games to Xbox Game Pass? It's a hypothetical question, of course.
No, it's a real question because it's about to happen. That's a real loaded gun you're playing with, and it has real bullets and somebody about to get shot. This is what happens. Does Sony own the rights to the Death Stranding IP?
They do, yes.
Okay, so now that we know that Sony owns the right to the Death Stranding IP and they're holding the second game hostage, right? Because they didn't translate in the numbers. Now, let's say it comes over to the Game Pass, or when it comes over to Game Pass, and the community engages in ways that they needed it to engage the first time.
And that their own community didn't engage with.
And they didn't. And the game is dead now, probably. Save a couple of people over there, a small niche community that's over there that's still doing things. Now it opens up to the PC world, and the PC world actually gets a chance. And the majority of the PC players play with Xbox controllers, and you're going to see these levels of engagement and wherever the launches come from or whatever. But they're tracking these numbers, and they're seeing this. They're seeing these levels of engagement. It green lights Death Stranding 2. It puts Death Stranding 2 in go mode. The bigger question is, does it launch on PC and PlayStation at the same time to captivate those same audiences that they're trying to do now? And if by the time that it did launch Death Stranding 2, would it be in console Xbox Game Pass as well to capitalize on those numbers? And is that Sony's first foray at being a third-party developer?
Interesting. Yeah,
there's a lot of things that can happen, and if it sells like I believe it will, as Spider-Man is an indication that opening up your AAA bangers to the world is not a bad thing, because these entitled little dudes and girls, this is not yours.
Right.
These are games for the world. The Mona Lisa is not for your eyes only. When it happens and they see the money and they're in debt, you can't tell them to have alligator arms and don't reach for the bag. They gotta. And if you want them to stick around, you would want them to.
Exactly.
Your selfishness is what's dooming you.
Well, I mean, a perfect example of what you're saying is all you have to do is look for MLB The Show. It sold as much, potentially slightly more on Xbox than it did on PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
And that was the first. This was the first. Not this time. Not this year's. Last year's was the first time MLB The Show has been anywhere outside of PlayStation. And look, just the numbers don't lie, folks. More people on Xbox, even if that number is slightly higher, bought the game on, actually paid for the game while it was on Xbox Game Pass. And what's interesting, and what seems to be one of the it is the funny aspect of the conversation, it launched the $70 edition that they were charging their own fans for. The PlayStation 5 version launched on Xbox Game Pass for the price of admission, and Sony players had to spend $76.43 if you were in New York to buy the same game. Think about that for a second, folks. Think about that for a second. So what King is saying is not a farce. It's funny, and the way he's saying it is absolutely hilarious in the King way that we know and love, but he's on to something. Now, King, I want to pass the mic over to Dirt, because I think, Dirt, you have had many of conversations on your own podcast that I've been privy to sit back and listen to and laugh most of the time, because quite frankly, some of the stuff from you and your panel are hilarious. I want to get your opinion on this. Are you as shocked and surprised as a lot of people are that Death Stranding is coming to Xbox Game Pass PC, and potentially, because I know people are like, no, there's no way it's going to release. Okay, if you believe that, but I don't. I think that it is coming to Xbox proper, and I think the reason why that is because it's not hard to transfer it over. And listen, I could be wrong, and I'll take the L. What were your opinions when you saw this blow up yesterday?
Well, first off, I was laughing mostly because people said this would never happen.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I think this PlayStation, like you mentioned, Boom, earlier in the show, this is just a different PlayStation. This is a PlayStation that I don't think they have much of a choice anymore to do things that people said they would never do. First off, I always say that I believe the PS4 generation, as great as it was for PlayStation, is coming back to bite them in the butt. Let me explain. When your whole portfolio is only single player games, and the industry itself is changing before our very eyes. Last generation, with like games as a service, with multiplayer games really becoming the most popular type of game in the industry, where PlayStation was just sitting back making these great, expensive single player games. And we use the term one and done. I'm not really a fan of the term, but in reality, that's what their games were last generation. So now we're here in this generation. PlayStation is playing catch up. They're investing in games as a service. Excuse me. They're investing in live service games, but they're playing catch up. So in the meantime, how do we build our business here? Because these single player games, they're not just selling. Like you guys said, Jim Ryan himself said, these 10 to 20 million game sales is not enough anymore. They need more. So here comes PC. And I think this is what they have to do. You guys already said how they're in debt, and PC is going to help them tremendously. And their games are selling decently on PC, but if they drop some of them games day and date, they'll sell even better. So Death Stranding going to Xbox Game Pass, it's a surprise, but not really, because they're trying to get anything they can, any way they can, because their platform needs the extra revenue right now. Because, like I said, the PS4 generation is coming back to bite them. Because it was a great gen, but when you have single player game, expensive single player games, and your biggest single player game of last generation only sold 10 million out of 118 million PS4s out there, I'm sure they're like, yo, we need to change our strategy. And we're seeing them change their strategy right now. And I don't think this is the only game you're going to see go to Xbox Game Pass in the future. The only Sony-owned IP. There might be some more in the future. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, listen, your opinion is sound, to be honest with you, Dirt, and I'm glad to have it here on tonight's show. Now, the question that continues to be asked, Dirt, is the clarification. We keep hearing that there's no way that Death Stranding can come to Xbox console because 505 Games published it on PC. Do you see there being any type of holdup of releasing Death Stranding? Because to me, it seems like it's a lost opportunity. And I want to get your opinion on this. There are a lot of folks that look at Xbox Game Pass as a platform. What I saw today and what was said to me on multiple tweets from multiple people that did not like my post about tonight's show is that, no, hold on a sec, Boom. Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass is two different platforms. It's two different countries. One's console, one's PC. I don't understand that. I thought it was one platform. It seems like they're changing the rules to better have their argument,
to fit their narrative.
Yeah, to fit the narrative. Thank you. What are your thoughts on that? Is Xbox Game Pass a single platform?
Well, I tend to think it is. But there might be some exceptions. This one might be an exception. It might not be on the Xbox console. I know Sony owns the IP, and
they own the IP, correct?
Yeah,
and they published on their own console.
On the console, correct. Yeah. But we've seen Sony publish games on the Xbox with MLB The Show. I just feel that at this point anything's possible.
Right.
All bets are off. In my personal opinion, do I think it will come to console? I'm leaning towards no, but it's just like you just never know at this point. It wouldn't be a surprise if Death Stranding went to Xbox Game Pass for console. I just think it's more simpler because it's already on PC and they're just like, yo, let's put it into service. So I don't know. I'm going to say no, but I will say this, Boom. All of the people that attacked you for your statements about tonight's show, for what you said, all of those guys are the same folks that said PlayStation would never put their games on PC in the first place.
That's true. Yeah.
Never say never about any of these companies. You don't know what these companies are going to do. So those same guys don't know, they would never do that. Okay. The same guys that say they never put their games on PC. You guys said they would never have
cheat on me.
Yeah, they'll never cheat on me. They love me.
Well, listen, good stuff. We're going to come back to both you and King because we have the Phil, Maximus, Aurelius Spencer conversation. King, we're going to be talking about that momentarily. Phil's plan has been he's been working on this plan for years, and you have been clamoring and banging the Xbox drum that the bigger picture. There were a lot of dudes and dudettes that weren't seeing what you were putting down. And we're going to get into it because obviously we're going to come to a point potentially at the end of the year that we see a Series S as low as $199 and they pull a Sony. They basically take the card from Sony, put it in their back pocket and walk away with it. And that's Sony. If you don't know, Sony did that a couple of Black Fridays ago where they dropped a special edition Spider-Man PS4 Slim with the game in there, and they charge $199, and no one has been able to break that record since. That is until now. We'll see what happens this fall. But Keosante, before I get to you, brother, I got to thank a couple of people. Some of the super chats that have come in. We also have a new channel member. Let me just bring up who that is. Hold on just a second. The new channel member is Syntax Era. Hey, brother, thank you so much for being here. And of course, thank you for becoming a channel member. We also have a big super chat from Shooter 2853 or $15. He says, "Morning Boom, Mrs. Boom and panel members. Boom, shout out to you and the good lady. A copy of Droid Trivia. Lots of fun." Yeah, I saw that in the DM, brother. Thank you for that. Cald Weeb drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "I wouldn't be surprised if Sony was acquired by Amazon or Apple by the end of the decade. What's up, Dirt?" Andrew Sos drops an outstanding $4 super sticker. Thank you for that. And Got Soul drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says, "Just got off work. And who's on with Boom? King, Killer Crocs, and Dirt, TTS, UPOS, let's go."
Yeah, man. You know, those acronyms that we like to use on my show.
We love acronyms as well. Keosante, look, you have a lot to say about this. Obviously, there were a lot of people in their feelings over this. And this is becoming what people would consider spiraling out of control. No one knows what Sony or Jim Ryan is going to do next. You know, money, when you're in debt or you're trying to do big things and you're trying to make things happen, when you're a lot of steps behind Microsoft. Like I said, we know a couple of weeks ago, the big story that everyone ran with for almost 2 weeks was what happened with the Brazilian regulators and what Sony had to say. And Sony played the victim. And they played coy as if they were the ones that are going to get, that we're going to, lose, the market leadership, even though they are currently still the market leader. We know that they are number one in all of the publishers when it comes to digital content sales. So it was hilarious to see Sony crying wolf the way that they were. And of course, Microsoft clapped back and put it out there that they were full of it, so to speak, in many legally nice written documents. What are your thoughts on what happened yesterday? Where again, if I'm saying clarification, I'm saying confirmed. If you don't feel that the people that I named to open up the show are worthy of saying that this is confirmed, I hear you. And if I have to take the L, I will. But I don't think that's going to happen. Game Pass PC getting a Sony PlayStation first-party game where many said would never happen. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is very interesting. I really do think it's very, very interesting. In the beginning, I was like, oh, this is not that big a deal because we had heard initially that when Kojima separated from Konami, that his next work was meant to be multi-plat, right? That was big rumor back and forth. And then, of course, ultimately, it ended up with PlayStation using the Decima engine and all of that, right? So, it is because of all of the background. It's very interesting to see so I suspect, and I don't know how others play, but I play everywhere, including on PC. So I'm looking forward to seeing when this game actually comes out on PC, because when you play a game on Game Pass for PC, when you actually go there, I'm actually looking at it right now as we're having this conversation. I'm looking at the screen as well for Game Pass, and it tells you certain details that are very interesting if you're looking for them. For instance, right now, it tells me that Forspoken, even though it's a year after it comes on Xbox, right? Forspoken is on Game Pass right now, downloadable in the pre-order fashion.
Pre-install.
That's right. And it'll have Xbox Live achievements. It says it right there. Day one. Yes. On PC. But it'll have Xbox Live achievements. So this stuff is very interesting. Now, when you go and you want to play right now, if you want to play Ubisoft's latest Rainbow Six Wildlands, right? If you want to do that, when you download it on PC, it kind of cheats. And this is where I think some people are using that to build their narrative. It kind of cheats on PC a little bit. And this is somewhat of a black eye from Microsoft, I think. So go there with me real quick. Instead of letting you have a version of the game that keeps you inside the Xbox ecosystem. Depending on the game you download, it cheats. So let's say you want to download Titanfall 2, for instance. It'll download the EA Play Store's version instead of downloading a version that keeps you inside the Xbox ecosystem, that keeps you getting Xbox Live achievements. Some games do that, other games don't. For instance, Ubisoft's Wildlands right now. If you were to go to download that on PC, you'll get the Ubisoft Connect version, which won't give you Xbox Live achievements. You see? So this is how this is why it's been a bit of consternation in the community when they said, "Oh, Death Stranding is coming to PC." Technically, can I see it come to console properly? I can see that. And for those who say that's never gonna happen, it's not possible. All I say to you is Google Google Gears of War PlayStation 3. Wonderful video there. There's a PlayStation 3 version of Gears of War 3. It was complete, ready to be sold, and then of course, the man woke up, decided to buy him, and then it never saw the light of day. This stuff happens all the time. So because they said that initially Kojima's game was going to be multi-plat, there is a world in which there's a build for OG Xbox One somewhere that never saw the light of day. So can they potentially release a version for regular Xbox? Hell yeah, they can. I can see that happening easily. We don't know what's on someone's shelf, right? We don't know what money exchanged hands, and that's why you never saw it release on the Xbox console. So is that possible? 100% it's possible, right? But what they're doing here, that's where my interest lies, right? I'm sure like the easiest way to release that would be to give you the Steam version or to give you the Epic Game Store version, but they tend to not do that. So since the game was released at, as you said, Boom, 505 Games released it on PC, I will be very interested to learn when it comes out on Game Pass proper on PC, which, come on now, we all know it's going to do that, right? When it comes out, what launcher will it release with? Because if it doesn't release with any launcher, what will the interfaces be? Will it have Game Pass? Will you see Xbox Live achievements? Will you see certain things? Because that will tell you, that right there, that will tell you if an actual console version exists.
Yeah. Right
now, we don't know that, right? But once you see those details, even in the pre-order screen, once you see those details, then you know for sure that it exists, because that means they put the effort in and they put the work in to lay out that infrastructure. So you'll eventually see the console version. But as far as, is this a righteous move? Of course it's a righteous move. Dirt said it, King Croc said it perfectly. It's the greed of the community. It's the greed of the people, the selfishness of the people that are stopping these things from being a celebration. It should be a celebration because it means more people get to experience this game that maybe not everybody liked. It sells well. Maybe there's another chance for it selling again, making more versions of the game. Everyone should be happy when this happens. And if you're not happy, look left, look right. You're the problem. Yeah. So that's how I feel about it.
No, that's that is. Do you guys hear me?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, my mic went dead. Okay. Well, listen. Chris Baum, let's get your opinion on this, brother. You've had an opportunity to hear everyone, but you yourself have had a lot to say, both on this show and other podcasts you're on. What are your thoughts on Death Stranding making its way to Xbox Game Pass PC, and how long before we see it on Xbox Game Pass proper?
I sit here and I say it's quite funny that King has been saying this for like over a year and a half, if not longer, that PlayStation is slowly dying, and they're like grasping the straws that should be a rope, and they can't even grab them anymore. And they laugh about it and they say, oh, well, this, well, that. Well, how many PlayStation gamers that are actual gamers and not extremists have come out and had bad practices happen to them? Sony needs to check themselves before they wreck themselves. So instead of doing that, they're not even acknowledging the fact that they're doing this, which is hilarious to me. I actually laugh at it. I think at this point, Sony is in such desperate, dire straits that they don't know what to do with themselves. And instead of making a stance, standing on their square like King David would, Okay. They are sitting there saying, oh, well, we're going to play hopscotch and we're going to do stuff. Okay. We're going to do all this stuff and we're going to tell you that we're not doing this stuff, but we're really going to do it. And that's the problem. Okay. Microsoft has
and
their
you
square.
can't stop us.
Yeah, well, they think they can't be stopped, but let's put a $18 billion instead of $180 billion. Like, maybe it's really 18 in the United States. Guess what? They don't have any cash to play with. They already spent it on freaking Bungie, people.
Mm-hmm.
Get it out of your head, okay? They don't have cash to play. Guess what? There's still $30 billion sitting there, cash in hand for Microsoft. They could do what the hell they want. And this is after the ABK deal goes into effect because they've been building for this and they know what they have right now. And you know what? You could say what you want, but nobody's really complaining about the fact that they had to buy the Hot Wheels DLC for $20.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody complaining about that? Well, guess what?
Nope.
1 million people as of, like a few weeks ago purchased that DLC. That's $20 million. Okay. And nobody batted an eye because guess what? You got the base game for your subscription. So if you really wanted to play a good content that you're really interested in, you paid $20. You didn't pay $70 for a remake, people.
Mm-hmm.
Get your head out of your butthole, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And realize that these companies are only going to play ball when you stop purchasing their products or you call them out, one or the other, because some of them actually pay attention to social media, i.e. Xbox people. They actually pay attention. When we screamed at the top of our lungs for that increase, the Xbox Live Gold, guess what? They changed it. It's called actually being a gamer. And you know what? It might not be your bag. Death Stranding is not my bag. I played some of it. I am good with it. Okay. But for those that want to play it, guess what? You get an NPC Game Pass. And you know what all that is? It's like when, they released all these other games before, Flight Sim, stuff like that on PC before. It's coming to Xbox, people. You could deny it. You could hate it. You could be just off put. You'd be like, PlayStation, I hate you. You should all die in there. And like do all these crazy thought processes that you have. But the fact is, it's that if you have an Xbox Live Ultimate account right now, which is $15 a month, if you have a PC and you go into PC Game Pass, you already have it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people do not understand. And that's where I go and say that $18 tier from PlayStation with nothing in it except what, Stray? Okay, well that's like telling me that like all these other games that have come out years before you called Game Pass fodder. I mean, how about The Ascent or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That are Game Pass fodder that were sitting there. And Stray, I mean, The Ascent, Stray, I mean, I don't know. Like, you put them against each other. If you like that certain type of game, guess what? You're going to be fine with it. Like I've said before, I would play Stray. But the point is that's what they're giving you for $18 when I pay $15. And if I had a decent PC, guess what? I download PC Game Pass and I play it on PC for that $15. That's where value lies. And that's why we continue to support what Microsoft's doing. If they screw up, you damn well know we're going to call it out. So I expect the same from you PlayStation fanatics. Instead of sitting here talking more trash about Xbox and talking about your own damn platform, how about you talk about your own damn platform and how they're screwing you?
Woo! I love it.
That's it. That's all I got, man.
And the bomb has spoken.
I don't know if Boom's having issues.
It looks like Boom may have
Everborn, take it away, brother.
There I go. Sorry,
He's back.
I actually muted myself. I did the cardinal sin of podcasting. I muted myself and I was off camera, which is bonkers. First of all, I want to bring in Everborn Saga, but before I do, I want to thank the 500 plus people that are here checking out this podcast, folks. We are officially 24 subs from 11K. If you're finding
Let's
the
go.
channel for the
Yo.
first time, please consider, let's do this live on the air. Let's get Boom and Mrs. Boom past 11K. It would be a monster achievement. King, we did
Let's
it this
go.
year in January, live on the
Let's
air
do it
during
again.
the ridiculous
Nice.
Iron Lords podcast that has like 25 guests. I happen to be there. And thanks to your audience, we got past 10K, one of the big goals for this year. And I still have another goal. I want to hit 12. So we got to get to 11. If you're
Let's
new,
go.
please consider subscribing. I do this 4 days a week, ladies and gentlemen. Monday is the only day I have off. I do this Tuesday afternoon at 12 o'clock, the Xbox Factor podcast. Wednesday evening, primetime gaming at 7 p.m. Tomorrow, I'm sitting down for my regular one-on-one show, X Vlog Live. I cannot wait to do that. And of course, we're going to bring this back around and talk about Killer Instinct potentially being made by Guilty Gear vets. Arc System Works. And that video dropped today. That's right. From Maximilian Dude, who said that it was a bonkers thought, but that it could be possible that they made a deal with Bandai Namco, and then Bandai Namco went and got one of the best fighter makers in the business to make the next Killer Instinct. His theory is bonkers good. We'll be talking about that on Friday morning. And also, we're going to be getting to everything that happened at QuakeCon 2022. That's happening later this week. Everborn Saga. Let's get you in on the conversation. You know, you're known as the slanderous one, so I would expect no less. What are your thoughts on these crocodile tears, or the salty tears, as King David is saying, or Lord King Crocs David is saying? Are more tears coming?
Well, I want to paint a picture for you, right? And
I love art, so please paint the way.
What I find, what tickles me the most about all this is, again, Dirt, you mentioned it, King, you mentioned it, Crispy, you mentioned it, is all the people that said this would never happen, no way, no how, my precious would never do that. Now, when it does happen, what's funny to me is everyone talks about it like, of course, this was inevitable. Now, the thing, and I need to paint this picture for you, because this is like saying, no, she loves me, she would never cheat on me, and then she goes into the streets, and then you say, well, you know what? I'm just happy that she's happy. So
I love that analogy.
I know that she's going and seeing Tom, Dick, Harry, and Phil.
Oh, wow.
But at least she
That's
has
a
a
whole lot of
smile on her
dudes.
face now, and she can pay her rent.
Stop. Oh, man. You need
I
to
love it,
stop.
bro. I love it.
This is the slanderous one at his finest.
But again, I think that I don't know about Xbox, and I don't know how this was, how the game was designed, but it has been ported to PC, and most games, like the large percentage of them, maybe the first 70-80% are made like if you were making it for a PC, and then you hone in on the specifics of the hardware that you're going to go on. And now that it's been ported to PC, I can only imagine that it could also be ported to Xbox. Now, I do have to say, I didn't care about Death Stranding before, so I cannot pretend that I care about it now.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's still a terrible game. I agree.
I don't know if it's terrible because I never played it, but it never looked interesting to me. So
But we can play together now. Now we can play together.
I'm sorry, y'all. I just love that. You know, we're talking about this. Hey, this is a good move for Xbox. It's great. Dirt goes, yeah, man. I agree. This is the worst game. This is terrible.
No, I mean we can't listen.
It's so good.
Only
Deadpan, absolutely.
I can only cap and pretend I cared about one game, and that will be COD when the Activision deal's done. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna pretend like I was a day one COD guy as soon as this deal closes. I have not cared about COD in like a decade, But as soon as that Activision deal is done,
Ooh,
we
Kyle's
out
the
here.
best.
Everborn.
Yes,
I
sir.
do that with every last PlayStation game that jump ship. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to you. See, because
Listen, man.
for a long time, I've been held hostage and forced to buy a PlayStation. And right now, anything that slips through the cracks, anything, I'm capping for.
You're number one fan.
I got the hat on ready.
So
My
what
cap is ready.
So what-
Hayachi face.
So what you're saying is you get these PlayStation PC games just for the same reason that I went to see Morbius, right?
Yes, sir.
Because I support comic book movies and I want more of them, so I just feel obligated to go and watch those movies, even when they look terrible.
Mine is more nefarious than that. I purchase just so I can get some Sony tears. I gotta fill a jar, baby.
You gotta soak your feet, right?
Yeah, listen, when I come from the gym or when I'm walking my dogs in my Crocs, see, these are the Star Wars Crocs.
Made from actual crocodile tears.
And I actually soak my feet in these crocodile tears. And it feels so good, baby. I'm gonna do it tonight because I got a bucket. I got a bucket of you tears. I got a bucket when the financials hit the deck. I got a bucket when you saw Kojima. I got a bucket now that you found out Death Stranding and that mythical game that y'all was so afraid of is Death Stranding.
She is taking selfies with your arch nemesis saying he's a better father than you. Now,
Oh my! Oh,
Wow.
stepdaddy Phil is great.
We went there.
all right,
You
all
think
right.
it's the
Listen, I'm
Disney
done.
World.
No, but listen. The question before we move on, this did bring up. So we saw MLB, and that turned out to be a success, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Death Stranding will have the audience that King talked about it needed to be, this service-based game. And I do think Death Stranding 2 is probably one of the service-based games that Sony's working on. And I also do think it might be everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Because that's what it's about. It's about having it as many places you can be and getting those microtransactions. Now, the thing is, though, you know that meme where you see the Grim Reaper knocking on the door of different things and then who's next? I feel like the next door could be Spider-Man.
Oh,
I have a strong suspicion.
And
People called me a lunatic, but they've called some of the greatest thinkers lunatics, and I'm saying that I think that is inevitable. I'm not saying Miles Morales is around the corner, but Spider-Man 2018.
Well, Miles Morales literally is around the corner because it's on their coming soon tab.
Yeah,
on
it
the
is.
PlayStation PC
Yeah, that's
site.
coming out this fall. That'll be their big fall game. Yeah.
When
So,
I tell
gentlemen,
you, I'm
gentlemen,
watching that coming soon tab like a hawk because that will be updated.
So Everborn.
Yes, sir.
It's very interesting you're bringing this up, okay? And I'll go there with you. It's definitely in the realm of possibility because obviously, if you are not the end all be all arbiter of your IP, MLB the Show. We get that. Paint a picture for me in a world where while Sony still has the relationship they do with Spider-Man, and we know what that is, paint a picture for me where Disney can go, nah, bruh, Game Pass. Paint that picture for me. I would like to see that picture.
I'm glad you asked, sir. Now, you know that Bob Iger's not in charge anymore.
Right?
Oh, Chapek is on the hunt. Chapek
Right.
is on the hunt. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Chapek
Yes, sir.
is all about that cash, right? Now, Spider-Man, huge title, 20 million sales. It just came to PC. Miles Morales will come to PC. It will do well there.
Yes.
Sony has said, even with their movies, they're all about the windowing of the content, right? So you've made all the money you can on console. You sold it 3 times to people in director's cuts and remasters of remasters, right? Then you sell it to everybody.
You mean remakes of remasters, but continue.
Of remakes, of remasters, of re-releases. of Game of the Year editions. No,
all right, y'all, you've drained it. You've drained it. Keep it going.
So, but the thing is, once you've exhausted your potential on console, now you've moved it to PC, and we've seen that window shorten and shorten. And then now you can put it in the subscription service. And the reason I think Death Stranding makes sense, and they say 505 is publishing this, but Sony has the rights and all those other things. I don't know I don't know the specifics of that. However, at this time, Sony's subscription service does not include a PC component, right? There's no cross-buy at this time. Now, we think they're going to have a launcher, but as of today, they don't. So why not take the extra money from something like a Game Pass PC if you were never going to release this in a subscription service anyway?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think until they have those eggs in a basket, why not have it a third window? So you have console, PC, and then subscription, and then you can start putting them in your own subscription when the time comes. I do find it hilarious that how many times do you have to pay full price for a game while it is going to be in a service on a completing platform? Hilarious.
Yeah.
I am part of the problem, Everborn. I have triple dipped on Spider-Man. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
No,
forgive me.
Listen,
well,
you like
I
the
can't,
game.
you know what? I would give you stuff, but I did that with TMNT and Shredder's Revenge and Streets of Rage 4 because I have that on PC and in on the Xbox, even though it was in Game Pass. But those are small games that I wanted to support.
No, nothing wrong with that. Listen, King, I know you're limited for time, so we're going to get to you first. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's episode sponsored by Manscaped.com. And, of course, my partner in crime is, of course, Kay Asante. And I got to ask, how are things this week, Kay Asante?
Oh, Boom. I got to tell you, this whole courtroom thing with Sony and Microsoft, the drama, it's been keeping the news alive for me this summer. I'm still laughing thinking about Sony scared of Xbox competition and saying they're paying money to keep games off of Game Pass. Hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. And it's funny that you say that, Kay Asante, because just like Sony, I pay to keep pubic hair off of my body with Manscaped.
Now, I'm going to do the voice here. Excuse me. That's right, Boom. And unlike Sony, I am not scared of competition. But, I am scared of walking into that giant forest. Lord, after all, we don't want to get lost in the 70s, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I do. And don't be scared, Kay Asante. Just get Manscaped. And just like Sony's anti-consumer ways, just pay to keep those pesky jingles away. Unlike Sony, you won't have to pay a lot when your friend Boom has your back. That's right. Go check out the Lawnmower 4.0 with safe skin technology or the Manscaped Boxers 2.0 with the super special jewel pouch. Just use the code DBG20 for 20% and free shipping on your entire order at checkout. That's it. That's your commercial. Big shout out to Mag, who wrote that script. He'll be back next week. King David, while we still have you here, we got to talk about Phil Spencer. I mean, listen, what can you say about Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer other than he has delivered time and time again? And well, listen, when the ABK deal is done, we know that something that has rocked this industry for years in Call of Duty will become first party. But that's not the only part of Phil's master plan, King. Now, you, like myself, have been talking up Phil Spencer for years since he became his current position at the right hand of Satya Nadella in 2017. When the ABK deal was announced, we know that he was promoted to an additional title of head of Microsoft Gaming, not just Xbox Gaming. And what's interesting is seeing this unfold. Now, the big plan, or his master plan, included obviously powerful consoles. They have that in spades in the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. Now, what also they have is Bethesda games. Bethesda, which makes some of the best and most iconic RPGs in the world, is the first party. Games like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom. I mean, the list just goes on and on. But then you add Activision Blizzard, King, to the conversation. And it's funny, we have the King here today that we say that. And it is going to be a deal unlike anything that we've ever seen. It is going to literally rock the entire industry. But what's more interesting, besides the Series S potentially hitting at $199.99 this fall, is the Xbox Game Pass Plus family that was just announced. Now, currently it's only in 2 countries, but just imagine, King. Let's say, and we heard today from Astriel on Twitter that apparently the last year of Call of Duty, their deal comes next year, 2023. Now, I don't know if that's going to be held up because Microsoft has already said that there's not going to be a new Call of Duty and they're just going to pay to buy out that year. But it is expected that in 2024, Call of Duty proper is going to be dropping into Xbox Game Pass day and date. And I can see a world where it's advertised on billboards, on basketball courts, in baseball and football stadiums. Play the new Call of Duty for as low as $5 a month in the Xbox family plan. Is Phil Spencer's plan coming to fruition?
What I tried to explain to people on his journey to becoming the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, and they had to look over at Xbox and they had to just say Xbox is no longer a separate entity. Excuse me. Xbox Gaming is Microsoft Gaming.
Yep.
And they had to look at what's the value in the box. Now, what Phil said, and he made the promise and he made the decree, and he talked to his engineers, and he told those guys they'll never beat us on power again. Because Sony was running on the power platform. They'll never beat us on power again. And they'll never beat us on price. And dudes couldn't wrap their head around how the hell are you going to achieve both without compromising someplace. You're going to have to compromise someplace. Well, he didn't compromise on power, and the price is what the price is. And he didn't compromise on price when it came to the Series S, because he packed everything he could possibly pack into that box to get it as close as possible to a Series X and to get you that at a low price. Now, they looked at the value of Game Pass and they said, man, the value of Game Pass is incredible. But what we know is we are consumer friendly and family friendly. They're positioning themselves as the family box, because what they understand is,
yep,
Disney Plus just hit 150 million subscribers plus.
And that's before you get to Hulu and ESPN.
Dudes didn't understand. Well, they doubted it. They doubted it could happen. Well, what Disney understood was what you had to do was you had to take and invest in yourself, take your IPs and put them, original day and date content, inside your ecosystem. So you get shorts like Groot and stuff like that there. Microsoft looked at that business model and said, you know what? They on to something. All our first party titles is going inside our Game Pass, because what people were saying in the beginning was, oh, Game Pass has nothing but shovelware and it has nothing but fodder. That changed when Gears hit it and other games started landing, and then it wasn't limited just to their first party games. It was day and date third party titles, Outriders. Stuff like this changes the narrative of what is capable inside Game Pass. But they still looked at it and said, as much value that's there, that's not enough. I have a household right now that has 6 Xbox consoles with 6 different accounts. They're talking to me, man.
That's a lot of money, dude.
They're talking to me.
Yeah, they are. Mm-hmm.
So when my kid goes away to college next week and she takes her Series S with her and she logs into her account, the family account, when it gets here, I don't have to worry about that extra money I have to send her in college. I could, here, man, here's a little extra bread that I saved and trying to keep her entertained while she's in college working as hard as she possibly can. And my youngest kid that's here, he plays Game Pass. He doesn't understand my dilemma as a child growing up when my mother brought me one game that I had to rock until I learned patterns.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or you waited for birthdays, you waited for holidays. The way that kids digest games now is nothing to when we grew up, where you would actually
at a rapid pace.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So right now, when Black Friday shows up and you have Call of Duty that's going to finally launch inside a Game Pass at some point in time, we don't know the details on the background of the contracts, and I doubt Microsoft, given an opportunity, would sit down a year or pay out a year to keep it from making money back. The deal is going to close before November, or right around November before the holiday.
Yep.
In order for them to make moves before the politicians and everybody else that has to sign these checks and all this other stuff and make sure that these deals go through, go on vacation, go on holiday. This stuff happens. Call of Duty will be on as an entirety in Microsoft by, I say, no later than 2024. But by that time, the damage is already done, because what we have already seen that if you have Game Pass and if you have the premium edition of Call of Duty, you play that a month ahead of time in beta inside the Game Pass Ultimate. The damage is already starting. You understand? And it's irreparable damage, because this is something that you can't recover from. This is like getting stabbed with a rusty knife. You're not going to heal right, baby.
Did you get your tetanus shot?
You're going to be disfigured after this. After this fight here, you ain't going to look the same. You ain't going to function the same. You're not going to be right after this fight. So you have to ask yourself, really, and I know Sony is looking over, and then when they was in front of the Brazilians and they was snitching, was ratting, hashtag no rat, stop snitching. They knew what was about to transpire. They understood that they brought a pocket knife and these guys got rocket launchers. They understand they're never going to be the same.
Yeah, they're definitely walking with a limp after this.
But see, what it is, and the reason why I could tell you they're never going to be the same, because you don't recognize Sony now.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's not the same dude as before. Like, you looking at him like, my man, you looking a little different. Real recognize real, and you looking funny, homie. Like, I don't recognize this Sony no more. The Sony that I knew, the Sony that I grew up with, the Sony that I was in love with, the Sony that I was repping that wasn't ratting, that Sony right there would have put on them knuckle dusters and got out in the streets and made a game to compete. Would have never admitted in public that we don't have something that can compete with this. The onslaught the fight didn't even start yet, and you're already crying.
Yep. Waving a white flag.
I'm telling you this, and Boom knows. Boom knows. When that Black Friday deal hit,
oh man,
and that Series S is $200 cash, what comes with 3 months of Game Pass, and Call of Duty's a sticker on the box. Your mama ain't looking in that PlayStation direction, but
Call of Duty free.
Mm-hmm.
It's
in
just
the subscription.
It's gonna hurt now.
Yeah.
And I'm happy it's gonna hurt because let me tell you something. And y'all can say, yeah, King a little salty, King a little salty. Yes, King is salty. Y'all been kicking and beating me for 8 good years. 8 good
Beating
years.
our legs, King. Beating our legs.
I watched that video, Dirt. I love that video. That video, I think I've watched that video probably 40 times.
Really?
I think it's you playing Call of Duty or something like that, and you in the house. Yeah, of course. I've watched that video at least 40 times because what you said was no lies. And nah, man, I'm not gonna let go of your throat. I'm not.
Right.
And I know you guys, somebody gonna clip it and be like, oh, King is salty. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's just comeuppance. Everything happens in cycles. If you would have treated me nice then, I would be treating you nice now.
There you go.
What you said, you brought it on yourself?
That's
or
all I can say. You're gonna get these hands.
Well,
But
listen, King.
I love you guys.
Yes,
I gotta
we love
run.
you too, brother. Yeah, we know we got to get out of here. Listen,
And I'm gonna
obviously,
listen.
brother.
While I'm going inside the room, I'm gonna listen. I'm definitely gonna listen because I have to hear exactly what the most disrespectful one is going to say at the end. Everborn
Saga.
Yes,
Yeah.
See, I didn't know if you was gonna say Dirt or me. I wasn't sure.
No. Listen, I already know what Dirt gonna bring. Sometimes you throw me a curveball that I don't see coming, so I definitely have to tune in. So God bless you guys.
You never
Thank
should have
you
put
so
the
much.
3 of us on the same show.
No, it's okay. I love it.
mistake.
I love it. And the people love it. By the way, we have crossed over 550 people here, which is absolutely astounding.
Thank you,
Dirt,
guys.
I want to bring King. Have a good night, brother. And obviously, if you don't know who King David is, then why are you even here? Yes.
Well, follow me on Twitter. I just hit 10K.
Very nice. Well deserved. Well
King
deserved.
David OTW.
The OTW, that's right. That's King David, Iron Lords podcast, obviously, on Sundays, 1 p.m. until the NFL starts. Then they go down to 11 a.m., which King doesn't like, but, he's got to do what he's got to do. And, of course, go find you'll find all of King David's information in the show when it goes video on demand. Listen, Dirt, I want to get to your brother, but I got to catch him somebody super chats.
Absolutely, bro.
All right. Drawn TJ, good friend, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $10 bomb and says, hi, guys. I feel Sony putting their games on Game Pass day one if they don't sell for 6 months, but they will. Now there's really no reason to buy a PlayStation. I believe, King, they are done with consoles. We have Mass 3R 3 count drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, what up, Boom? Long-time listener on Spotify. Thanks so much for that, dude. Salute to the panel and chat. Keep up the great content. Cheers, indeed. Sith Lord, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, hail to the king, baby, in prime time. We also have, Mass 3R 3 count has become a new channel member. Dude, thank you so much for that. That is very kind of you. Onyx drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, Dirt, can't wait to be the mailman on my 9K PC POS. Highlander 001 drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, I have heard the loss of Call of Duty exclusives will cost between $120 and $200 million a year, that Sony will have to raise the price of games to cover the loss. If it's true, it's a damn shame. And we also got
it though. Raise the prices.
Yeah, charge them more. Hashtag charge them more. Alvin drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says the Spider-Man PC leaks said that the PlayStation launcher will have cross-buy. You can't have cross-buy without day and date. It's coming sooner than later. Yeah, I think that this deal with Call of Duty is literally going to force Sony into day and date. I honestly believe that. Dirt, you've heard what King had to say. You've heard what I had to say. I have laid out what Microsoft, more specifically, Phil Spencer has been doing, and this is his master plan. Like, if you remember, they clowned on him when he said, we want to reach 3 billion gamers. They laughed. They poked. And the gaming media clowned on Phil Spencer, saying there's no way that they can do that. And right now, you can play your Xbox on your phone, your tablet, your pewter. This year on Samsung TVs through the app, you can play it on your console. And sooner or later, you're literally going to be able to play Call of Duty everywhere. The master plan has been put out there. What is next for Xbox? Are can they become market leader and take over and potentially push Sony to third place?
Absolutely. Like, first off, what King said, everything he said was absolutely facts. When Phil Spencer got promoted, Xbox was not in a good place, right? We remember vividly 2014. I just discovered this community. The Xbox slander was plentiful.
Yeah.
They, and that's just how it was. I know you guys know, Boom. I know you know.
Yeah.
Because you was definitely around back then. And to see what they're doing now, I say this on my podcast all the time. They say, Dirty, you about to talk about last generation. I have to talk about last generation because we're witnessing what they're doing now, right? So many things that was said in the past. I was on a podcast earlier with Big Cloud Gaming, and he even said last generation, he used to say, why won't Xbox compete? Are they ever going to put up a fight against PlayStation? Because, last generation, it was a rough one, right? Yeah. So now that they're competing, I hear people saying, well, they're not competing the right way. They're not competing how I think they should compete, right? And what's happening is PlayStation is doing some of the things that those guys said Xbox was stupid for doing, like whether it's doing their games day and day with PC or whatever reason, putting their games in the subscription service. All of these things is coming back in a way that you have to look at a guy like Phil Spencer. We've heard the stories, excuse me, that like Microsoft was about to throw Xbox out of there. We heard like the struggles. I remember Phil Spencer saying in maybe 2017, we don't want to show games too early. In reality, they didn't have many games in development besides Halo, Gears, and Forza. We understand that, but if you look at it now, the roadmap, let's be honest here, the roadmap, people can say, yeah, 2020 is bad. Deal with it, you Xbox. Okay. Okay, fine. But when it comes to the roadmap, it takes time. We know that Phil Spencer had to rebuild the brand, not just from a software standpoint and a hardware standpoint, just from the perception of Xbox. He had to rebuild it, and sometimes rebuilding takes time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watch sports, but with the exception of the NFL, which like a team can go to bad to good 1 year, but like NBA, I love NBA. It takes time.
Yeah.
To rebuild your platform. So what they're doing is rebuilding. And yes, it's taking time. And the roadmap is absolutely incredible. So what Phil Spencer has done for this Xbox brand, for anybody that still says, Phil Spencer needs to be fired, or what? That's the craziest stuff I've ever heard in my life. And I still see those types of things. And
you know why they saying that though, Dirk, right?
Why?
Because they know he's right.
Absolutely.
They do not want him to succeed. They want to cut him off at the pass.
He's clearly right.
If he is successful and this Activision thing goes down and they lose things like MLB and Death Stranding and maybe who knows what else, I won't even say it. And if Jim keeps following behind what Phil is doing,
right?
Of course they want Phil out of there.
Exactly. See, but look, this thing, they're doing things that Xbox has done for years. So, in other words, Xbox vision is the correct vision. We've seen what's happening. Xbox in 2015, 2016, we're going to put our first party games on PC day and date. I vividly remember people like PlayStation guys laughing. I remember some Xbox guys losing their mind. Like, that's the dumbest thing ever, Xbox. Xbox saw where this industry was headed. They saw how expensive these games were to develop. They saw what happened with Quantum Break, a great game, but it didn't really move that many units. Xbox lost a lot of money with a game like Quantum Break. And they said, nah, we can't do this anymore. We have to think of another way. And here we are. PlayStation is going through the same exact thing now. So back to your original point, Boom, before I let everybody else go. Phil Spencer clearly saved the Xbox brand.
No doubt.
Their future, I don't know how anybody can sit here with a straight face and say, Xbox still trash. This is not the Xbox One generation anymore. It's not. the perception of the Xbox is different. If I would have like told Boom from 2017, hey Boom, back in 2017, do you know in 2022 Xbox is going to own ZeniMax, Activision, Blizzard, Ninja Theory, Playground? You'd have said, get out of here.
I'd have said, you crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. This Xbox is absolutely killing it, man, and the future is crazy.
And it starts in 2023. Like I said, I know that we've heard the memes and the clowning about, oh, wait to the next E3, wait to next year. Unfortunately, they're not the only publisher that has massive delays, right? We keep seeing them every day. It's somebody new that's pushed the game to 2023. Even though I'm still disappointed, I understand what it is. Like I said, my wife and I a couple of weeks ago had COVID, right? There were days where it was a struggle to have a concert effort to pick up a controller to play. I could not imagine being a game developer and putting in a 10-hour day with COVID. Like everybody wants them to. Oh, COVID, no big deal. I'm telling you, it was a big deal, and I could barely play games, let alone podcast. Right. It just so yeah, delays are going to happen. Great stuff. Kay Asante, you've heard King, you've heard myself, you've heard Dirt. Has Phil Spencer laid out his master plan for potentially taking on the title of market leader? And I say Sony's going to go to third because Sony cannot outduel Nintendo. And at this particular time, neither can Xbox. But when you start seeing a $200 box and you start seeing games like Call of Duty drop in there, and there's advertisements on said box that says play for as low as $5 a month through the family plan. At this point, neither Nintendo or Sony are doing this, and they're not in a position to follow suit. Has Phil Spencer laid out his master plan?
I do think he has laid out his master plan. I do think that it will work. My take on it, much like Dirt, much like King, and I'm sure Everborn will have a similar take on it as well. But I do think it'll work, right? Obviously, it'll work. The problem with them up until now is their own willingness to go to bat, right? To do the work. That's the reason why a bunch of Xbox fans have been, upset and back and forth for as long as they have been. It's one thing if you try and you fail. It's another thing if you just don't try at all. And a lot of Xbox fans were very upset because it looked like it's not even that it looked like. It was a fact that Microsoft was not trying to their fullest extent, right? So here they are. They're now really trying. Will it succeed? I have no doubt it will succeed. I do have a bit of criticism for them, though, because I feel like they succeed because of their seemingly infinite, endless resources, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas others do a lot more with a lot less. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm here for it. I'm an Xbox gamer. I play on Xbox like everybody else does. I play everywhere, but I prefer the Xbox controller than the other controllers. I enjoy my Xbox, and I will continue to want to make it the best place that I play. But I've always had this criticism for Microsoft, and even now I don't see it changing. And that is because you have so much resources, you get away with a lot of waste that others would not get away with. Like if Sony acted the way Microsoft does, Sony would be out of business because they couldn't afford it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Microsoft can get away with it. Like I myself and Everborn have had this back and forth on the show a few times. There is a AAA game budget's worth of mistake that Microsoft has made as far as bad money that they've thrown away, delays and this and that and this and that. So whenever we have these conversations, I will always put that in there because I feel like the righteous smoke is deserved. Right. And I want to see them succeed optimally. I want to see them succeed and do it without spending all the money in the world that other companies just basically, not effortlessly, but they're able to thread that needle without having to, spend twice the marketing budget. because when they say it's coming out this year, they think about it twice and then make that statement once, so they don't have to go back and do it again. Look at Halo Infinite, look at all the others, the Redfalls and all the others in the mix, right? But even with all that established, it doesn't require rocket science to see what's going on here, right? Sony has always kind of, Sony and Nintendo for that matter, have always relied on the status quo of the environment, right?
Indeed.
We sell you the hardware. Maybe in the beginning it's hard for us to make that hardware, so we take a bit of a loss. And then guess what? We got you locked in. You buy software until we decide that the quote unquote generation's over, and we rinse repeat, do it all over again, right? Clearly, Microsoft is upending that status quo, and that's the reason why what happened in Brazil happened, right? Nobody wants the status quo to leave, because Sony doesn't want to one day wake up and possibly not know where their bread is buttered anymore. They ain't got the cash they used to anymore. That's the reason they're playing the game, right? But at the end of the day, nobody can, no serious individual can look at what's going on and go, nah, they ain't gonna make it. This is not gonna happen, right? My question is, how much money will they waste before they're successful? But will they be successful? Undoubtedly, because that's what they do, right? I'm still gonna give them that smoke. I'm still gonna be like, maybe while we're going forward, maybe button it up a little bit, tighten it up a little bit. Maybe don't make so many public mistakes. Maybe don't spend so much money and then delay things and then have to spend your marketing dollars again. Don't bumble and fumble in public as much as you do, which is all fair game. But will it succeed? Oh, hell yeah. There's no way on earth that 2023, 2024 comes around, you are a Game Pass subscriber, and then you have a problem with the game output. Because either Microsoft, the $2.9 trillion company, woke up one morning and went, yeah, we've given up on games, or something completely drastic happens that gaming is the last thing we think of. But definitely 2022, 2023, 2024, the floodgates will open, and we will see all of that stuff coming to fruition. So yeah, it's definitely going to happen.
And we will be privy to all of the AAA bangers, as the kids say, that we see on Sony. They'll find their way home on Xbox, and next year, at least for the first 6 months, is going to be bonkers. It is going to be insane as more and more games move into the next year, and really just close the door on 2022, because it's really going to be known as the year of delays for sure. Crispy Bomb, let's get your raw and uncut opinion about this. Phil Spencer has literally laid and dropped the gauntlet down. What are your thoughts, man? Are they going to eventually take over market leadership and put Sony into third place?
They're going to take over market leadership. The only thing that could stop them is Sony realizing that their IPs do matter. Like King said at the beginning of this topic, for Phil to drop, it was State of Decay, it was Sea of Thieves, which now, at least Sea of Thieves is like a juggernaut of a game that was completely ahead of its time. It's basically a live service game that involves being a damn pirate. Like, think about that. You know what I mean? And it's something that they took a gamble on, and I mean, Rare continues to update it with content. Sony's realizing that they have done the wrong thing. They have focused on one thing and one thing only. And you could tell me I'm wrong, but it's third person, over the shoulder, story driven games that, if they add content, they charge you an extra $40 instead of the $20 that half these games, charge you on these live service statuses. Okay. You also see free to play here at this point. Free to play. Why do you think, Microsoft took the L and then said, oh, you can play free to play, online now?
Yeah.
Okay. It was almost like it was planned. I'm still with some people, like it was planned. It's like, let's piss them off and then give them something they've been asking for. And it's a little strange, but Phil's a gamer. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you go into the Game Pass service, you're not riddled with the same damn thing over and over again. if it's a good IP, it's there for a reason. And it attracts a new audience to the service. Okay. My girlfriend's upstairs right now playing Neon Abyss. Some of y'all never played that game. It's a procedural generated side scroller that reminds you of Metroid. Okay. That's what that game is. And she has been playing it for the past year and a half. Okay.
Wow.
When she boots up an Xbox, she plays Neon Abyss. All right. And she is nasty. I couldn't even come close to what she's able to do on that game. And it's actually pretty difficult. But if you've never played it, if somebody's never played Ori and the Will of the Wisp, you're not going to understand that there's no speaking in that game, yet you almost are brought to tears at times. Okay? Like that's the point. Like Xbox is giving you different, statuses. They're treating most of their games like they're a worthy opponent to any game that is a AAA banger and saying, you know what? It might be one person that made it, but guess what? It's still worthy of the conversation. And I think that's where we go and say Phil is completely in all of this. You got to remember the guy sat there in front of Satya, and Satya was basically like, we're going to kill Xbox. And somehow he walked out of there and he said, nah, we're not dead. We're alive and we're well. And he had whatever he said to that man was absolutely incredible, apparently.
I always imagine that scene where like Satya had actual like assassins behind Phil, and if he didn't answer the question correctly,
they were getting ready to waterboard him, baby.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
But Xbox is playing a different game, and
they are.
To see this PC game, but when I saw MLB The Show, it started there. I'm like, oh, this is fair game. And you have to realize this is coming from a gamer that's 34 years old and watched PlayStation kill Sega and nearly kill Nintendo. They were damn close to doing it. Okay. And Nintendo's a resilient, and I always root for Nintendo. I know a lot of gamers that are true gamers can always root for Nintendo, but Sony's trying to take, little tidbits from Nintendo now that they used to try to kill them on earlier, which is hilarious to me. Like doing these remasters of remakes and stuff like that and charging them full price. You've been doing that on Nintendo for years. You just accept it as a Nintendo gamer because you love Nintendo, and that is perfectly fine. Xbox is playing a totally different game, dude. Like when they bring out the Master Chief Collection, they released it on Steam. Anybody remember? It was insanely sold on Steam. Anybody remember that? Okay.
Yep.
Xbox is finally, it's not too far ahead. They were too far ahead when they released Gears, Halo, and Forza because they were multiplayer-centric games with a campaign in some way, shape, or form. And now all of a sudden, we're at the point where the campaign is only the bread and butter, but really everybody else is just playing the multiplayer all the time, and they're enveloped. I have 63 days in Gears 5, people. Okay, IPs matter, but guess what? You don't get 63 days on God of War, and that's where I end it right there.
Yeah, no, good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
he's absolutely right.
And yeah, everyone, listen, I'll be the first one to say the reason why I own a PlayStation 5 is because I'm a stan for their games. I like the single player selfish experience, right? We hear that on the Iron Lords all the time, right? I like putting on a pair of headphones and getting enveloped in a particular character, but I also like multiplayer. There are games that I will drop whatever I'm playing, Titanfall, The Division, Destiny. I dabble in every now and again. And Microsoft finds a way to give its players a bit of both. And like I said, 2023 and beyond is going to really put Sony and Nintendo on notice. And that's why Sony admitted we don't have a studio to make a game as important as Call of Duty, because they see this deal. And honestly, I know that the scared memes and Jim Ryan crying in a corner, I've seen them all, and I chuckle at them, but they are greatly concerned, and for good freaking reason. Last and no way least, the slanderous one, Everborn Saga. You're a man of many opinions, but specifically in the money factor. You see what Microsoft is doing, what they continue to do. They're ready to spend $70 billion on ABK. That deal looks like that it's going to be like it's closing. I don't know if it does close in September. I kind of agree with King. I think this happens before the holidays because it's been going on since it was announced in January. Has Phil Spencer dropped the gauntlet on the gaming industry?
I think he's absolutely leading where the industry is going, and they've been out ahead on these things. And time again, you see that. I mean, Phil is even out front on the delays of games.
Yeah.
They delayed Starfield and Redfall, and then the whole rest of the industry said, F it, I guess we can release in 2023. No, I think what they're doing absolutely is, and they are forcing everyone except Nintendo to
follow
sort
suit.
of keep up and have an answer for them, right? I don't think there would be a huge push to change Now was and merge it with PlayStation Plus if there hadn't been this constant market pressure from the subscription service that shall not be named. And that's not me saying that. That's Sony saying it in their filing with Brazil, right? So they're concerned about this thing. I don't think Sony would go on their buying spree if they didn't see what Microsoft was doing, right? And people will say, listen, they're not following behind because they did these things first. They bought Gaikai long before xCloud was a thing. PlayStation Now is older than Game Pass. Yeah, but they didn't care about it. And you can look at the numbers on PlayStation Now. I know people try to conflate the two, which is very convenient. And I don't think that they realize it. You're just helping Microsoft's case in the APK deal when you try to conflate PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. But go off. Sony believes that they won't be able to compete with Game Pass today. That's before the Activision deal closes. And those are because of moves that Phil made. And Sony is working with Microsoft on their cloud services, right? If they're still doing that, who knows if that contract is still in place. So again, I know, I think people kind of miss the forest for the trees, and they're looking at look at Returnal or Ratchet and Clank or God of War, Horizon, all of which could have been done on the PS4, but that's neither here nor there. And they don't realize that slowly but surely the model that they railed against, Sony is moving in that direction. Even, as a knee-jerk reaction, Sony and Jim Ryan are producing 10 or 12 live service games, right? So all these things that people kind of clowned Phil and Xbox for and said he should be fired for, maybe they weren't as stupid as people think. So time will reveal all. And I do think that, and I tweeted this today, where there's no vision, the people perish. And what that means is, people are looking at the world for how it is today, right? And they're not like looking forward in a year, 5 years, 10 years. And when they do that, you can see that Microsoft has put themselves in a position to drive where the industry is going, and Sony seems to be in a place where they are reacting. And they can fall back to their core competencies. But again, they're having to change and do things they've never done because, and I don't mean this to be hyperbolic, but it's in a way the walls are closing in on them. And the reason I say that is in the world of finance, right? A company is like a shark, right? You got to swim or you die. You grow or you die. And the problem is the console industry, the console market has been a set figure for the last 2 decades, right? And Phil Spencer even joked about this. The average age of the console gamer goes up by 1 year every year because it's the same group of people, right? It's about 300 million people, right? And you carve that up between Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, and every generation, if you add them up, there are 250 to 300 million consoles sold, right? How can you grow from there? You're either going to push one of your competitors out the market, which you can't, right? You're not pushing Nintendo out, and you can't afford to push Microsoft out. So the only way to grow is to grow your audience. Microsoft saw that, right? In the same way that Nintendo saw the shift in Japan to mobile devices, and then the Switch releases and takes off. And so Sony is, in a way, it still feels like they're fighting the last war, right? And now they have to adjust their business model to not keep up with Microsoft. We say keep up with Microsoft because Microsoft is leading where the industry is going to go, but they need to keep up with the industry in general, because if they don't grow, then they're not doing their fiduciary duty to their shareholders, right? So you have to expand out to PC and mobile where there's the most growth. And you're going to start to see releasing on more platforms where you can increase sales, because you have to grow. That's just the name of the game. You can't just make, and $25 billion a year is great. Any company would love to have that, but you can't stay there because Wall Street is a fickle bitch.
Yes, indeed.
So you have to show growth, and this is how they're doing it. And Microsoft is sort of paving the way. You can like it, you can love it, you can be salty about it, you can cry about it. This is what's happening. And so Sony's reacting, and they're using the goodwill they have to project. They are out in the front in sales today, and in terms of what people perceive as quality, but business-wise and how the delivery and distribution mechanisms are going to change, they're in the back. Well, Nintendo's in the back, but you know what I'm saying. They're in the middle of this sandwich, let's call it. Yeah. And they're doing what they have to do. And I don't say that negatively. Every business is doing what they have to do. But now, because Phil was able to convince Satya by, using the cloud angle and all those things, and looking at the trend lines of how gaming is growing probably faster than any other industry, he was able to convince Microsoft that needs to be a pillar of your business. Meaning, and again, Microsoft is one of the most diversified companies in the world. It's not just the Windows. Like Apple is the iPhone company. Google is the search company. Sony is the PlayStation company. But Microsoft is Office, it's cloud, it's Windows. And now they're trying to make a new core pillar of the company, which is gaming.
Right.
And Bethesda was about the exclusive. Activision is about cementing Microsoft gaming as a core pillar of the company. After the Activision deal is closed, the gaming division will be bigger than the Windows division. And I want you to think about that.
That's pretty crazy.
Microsoft gaming will be bigger than Windows in terms of revenue. Now, in closing, I'm saying all of this to say, Microsoft believes in this new world, especially if we get to a place. And I'm sorry, people are like Michael Pachter was being hyperbolic. I don't always agree with Michael Pachter, but guess what? I'm gonna tell you right now, 100 million seems low. I said it.
Okay. All right.
Right. So again, they have positioned themselves, especially if cloud becomes a dominant force, which it will. I think it's not a matter of if, it's more of a when. And that's not to take, like, people still buy DVD players. People still prefer, not DVD players, but Blu-rays.
Right.
Even though mostly streaming is good enough. It's not real 4K, but it could fool me, right?
Yep. True.
So cloud, once that once that really takes off, they've removed the shackles of hardware. If you want a game on PC, you got to buy a several $1,000 rig. You want a game on a console, it has to be available, and you got to have $500. And that's a significant decision. But what if you can take all that away and you just say, hey, if you can watch Netflix, you can game on Xbox.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And that is the future that Sony is not or has not prepared for, and they're slowly trying to transition their business. Sony's development pipeline is not conducive to do PC games day and date. They have to change up, and they're in the process of this, and this is why they bought Nixus. They're in the process of changing their development pipeline so that they can do day and date on PC. And this is the thing. This shows you that Microsoft made those investments years out while people were laughing at the tortoise and the hair was out in front. And then we all know who won that race. That's it. I'm out. I'm done. My lecture's over.
Excellent. Well, everyone just
drop it.
Everyone completely knocked that out of the park. Real quick, shout out to Mass Erect, whose name I got wrong. He drops an additional $2 super chat, and he puts a couple of he says it's Mass Erect Boom with a lot of laughing emojis, and because I never get those names right, damn it. Well, listen, thank you so much for the super chats and of course becoming a channel member. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, that is your primetime gaming, where we saw King David, who has been here more times than I can count on my hands and feet, and Dirt Griggity bringing his guest appearance. Dirt, listen, let's get you out of here first. You are the voice, or one of the voices, for the WBG podcast. That happens Monday evenings, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 Pacific time, 5:30 Central, and 11:30 Ground Mountain time. Brother, sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can check out your weekly show, and more importantly, reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media.
Oh, man. Well, thank you for inviting me on. I truly appreciate it, man. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, check out my podcast, like Boom said, on Monday evenings at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. You know, my I would admit my podcast is much more raunchier than BoomStick. You know, we have a lot of fun. We talk a lot of trash. But, you know, if you like that style of podcast, you know, you're more than welcome to stop by. Now, PlayStation fans, you might not like it. So I see a couple of PlayStation fans in the chat. You probably won't like it. Actually, I think I've seen a couple of you guys before. Yeah, so check it out. And I'm on Twitter at Griggity. Just, you know, hit me up. You know, just have a good old time. But thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Dude, first of all, it was great to work with you. And of course, I will say this. The best segment I have ever seen in my entire life is the POS segment of the week. That is, wow, dude. I couldn't stop laughing. Listen, some people deserve that title, and you give it to them, and I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Kay Asante, sell your brand, brother. Talk about your Saturday show, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you and the slanderous one get together each and every week. Sometimes you have a guest, sometimes you don't. Talk about your podcast, where they could reach out, subscribe, and get you past 1,000 subscribers. That's the big goal. You're past 600, so now we got to get that other 400 for you. Where could people check that out? And more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, well, I will first and foremost like to thank yourself, Dirt Griggity. Thanks to the King for being here. It's actually long overdue. I expected to see Dirt on this network for a while now, so it's wonderful to see you here. You know, hopefully we'll see you more and more on this network. We need more voices like yours in this community, so it's great to have you on as usual. I will say you can find me TKO Asante on Xbox, PlayStation, all the places you want to find me. Co-host of the Gaming Circle podcast, as Mr. BoomStick has said, myself and the slanderous one, Mr. Everborn Saga, every Saturday Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. We like to get on here, and you know, we keep it PG-13. You know, sometimes I have to put the expletive label on there. I think last week I had to do that. We dropped one too many. Couldn't justify the PG-13 yet last week. So, but no, we enjoy ourselves. We have a good time. We talk about the news of the week.
You need to invest in that bleep that Gaz has.
Gaz uses it to great advantage.
I have a bleep.
Yes.
I have a bleep. I've chosen not to use it. Maybe it's about time to start using it. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. But yes, find us Saturdays Eastern 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Gaming Circle podcast. Sometimes we have great guests. Sometimes it's just the two of us being ridiculous and slanderous on a Saturday morning. We appreciate all the people that like to jump in. We have great community that's growing, so we appreciate you for coming to check us out, joining us. And we'll see you guys again next week, I'm sure.
Indeed. Crispy Bomb, sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they could reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, find you on other podcasts.
I think this is like the second time I've been graced with Dirt Griggity in the house. And dude, love your content, man. Keep it up with the beats, bro. Like I love that. You know, the beginning of your show is always just puts a smile on my face. It's a little old school rap in there, and you can't deny that. And shout out to King. I mean, get those PlayStation rocks out of your Crocs, bro. Like, come on, bro. You got a little salty here, but you stand on your square, and you're about to be proven right, in my opinion. But it's at Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live tomorrow night, 8 p.m. We got the next podcast. I will be a guest on Xbox Infinite 8 p.m. Friday. And of course, you can find me on the Retro Renegades, 7 p.m. Tuesday, and back here on Primetime Gaming, 7 p.m. Wednesday. See you then.
Thank you so much. And last and no way least, the slanderous one, sell your brand. Tell everyone about the Everborn Saga. Where could people strike up a conversation and potentially grab you for spaces? And more importantly, talk about the game that you're currently working on.
Listen, man, the Everborn Saga we are building a transmedia powerhouse, a story that is told over multiple comic series and now games. I mean, we've had it started as a game, but now we're building a 2D beat 'em up inspired by Streets of Rage 4 and Shredder's Revenge. That will be for the Redlands, which is the latest comic series we released. We have 2 books coming out later this year, and hopefully a playable vertical slice of the game. So look out for that. Go to everbornsaga.com. You can also find me on Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, and wherever else you game at Everborn Saga, and on your favorite social media network, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. Although I'm probably only going to answer you on Twitter, because I'm in these Twitter streets. And that's it. Everborn Saga everywhere. And most importantly, I don't know if I said this already, but go to everbornsaga.com if you want to see what I'm talking about and the quality of things we produce. We also have merch, so you can get wall art like what you see behind me. And you can get shirts, hats, and all those things. So check it out, everbornsaga.com. Get the comics. You can see one of the games we produced, and we're working on a new one. Stay posted, because I try to post dev updates every day on the game so that we can kind of get the community involved. And we're going to be announcing some things on the Everborn Saga YouTube channel about the game, because I want to develop it along with the community, or at least keep them involved so that they can see all of my terrible coding mistakes.
Nice. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen.
Somebody has it on their phone already.
Oh, and there you go. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, making this a very successful PTG. Over 550 people came out. A lot of new faces here. Again, if you are new to the channel, please not only hitting that like button before you get on out of here, but of course, consider subscribing. And tomorrow, folks, at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm sitting down with the host and creator of the Xbox Infinite podcast, Risk It for the Biscuit. Man, we're going to be talking about Xbox platformers. Man, they have characters, and they have a lot of work to do to bring family platforming back to Xbox and Xbox Game Pass family. We're going to be talking about that and a bunch of other things. That 70-minute program will be live tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A huge shout out to all of the super chats that come in, folks. Those help power the channel. And how do I mean power the channel? Well, remember, I'm a retired dude, so in order to do these monster giveaways, we tuck these super chats away. This year, folks, we're giving away the most money in gifts that we've ever done. When it's all said and done, it's going to be over $2,700. We have Boom's Birthday Bash, where it's my birthday, but you get the gifts. We're giving $500 away of digital gifts. That is happening at the end of September. We've added a new giveaway. Again, $500 of digital gifts. Mrs. Boom's Birthday Bash. That's happening the first week of November. And this holiday, this Christmas, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing a 1K giveaway. That's right, $1,000 worth of digital gifts. And all you got to do is be in the chat as we are live. If you drop super chats, you get additional entries. If you are a channel member, you get an extra entry. And of course, you get another entry for just being in the live chat. And of course, we'll be dropping all of the information on when we're doing the next $2,000 giveaways for the remainder of 2022 as they get close to the dates. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close out the show with something, folks, that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.